This next section is given to something of huge personal significance to myself. It's just the theme of pilgrimage, and in particular the theme of pilgrimage to the shrine of Our Lady of Walsingham. You'll be able to see in the imagery behind me pictures of Mary and Jesus, and it serves as a constant reminder of the way in which the Christian life wants to be able to see and to know Jesus in the same way as Mary both knew and knows him, in the same ways as she was able to see him and sees him in heaven now. Pilgrimage is something which runs all the way through the Christian tradition. The Lord himself, of course, shared in pilgrimage with Mary and Joseph, and Christian life itself is frequently described as a pilgrimage. The origins of pilgrimage in Walsingham go back to 1061, when a woman by the name of Richildis experienced a vision of the Virgin Mary, who showed her the house in Nazareth, where the Archangel Gabriel announced the news of the birth of Jesus. Mary asked Richildis to build an exact replica of that house in Walsingham, and this is how Walsingham came to be known as England's Nazareth. Instructions were left for the building of a priory in the mid-12th century, and it was this priory, housing the simple wooden structure that Richildis had been asked to build, which became the focus of pilgrimage to Walsingham. Royal patronage helped the shrine to grow in wealth and popularity, receiving visits from many kings, until of course Henry VIII, who had been a regular devout pilgrim himself for a time, eventually brought about its destruction in 1538. After nearly 400 years, pilgrimage was restored to Walsingham. In 1897 there was a Roman Catholic pilgrimage to the restored 14th century Slipper Chapel, now at the centre of the Roman Catholic National Shrine. Pilgrims walk what we call the Holy Mile, which separate the Roman and Anglican shrines, and we do this as an act of penance for a division. And we also do it to pray for the unity of the Church, a unity for which the Lord called us to pray and work for. Father Hope Patten was appointed as the Vicar of Walsingham in 1921, and he instituted Anglican interest in the pre-Reformation pilgrimage. It was his idea to base a new statue of Our Lady of Walsingham on the image depicted on the seal of the medieval priory. In 1922, this statue was set up in the parish church of St Mary, and regular pilgrimage and devotion followed. From the first night that the statue was placed there, people gathered around it to pray, asking Mary to join her powerful prayer with theirs. This work of intercession continues to this day. Keeping alive the pre-Reformation faith, the Anglican Shrine of Our Lady of Walsingham has for many years been one of the holiest sites in the Christian world. Today, as in previous centuries, countless numbers of people come to experience more closely the way Jesus' mother, Mary, helps to draw them closer to the life of God the Holy Trinity, who became incarnate in the womb of Mary. And as those immortal words of John's account of the Gospel say, among us. In my time as a priest, I've tried to serve as what they call a priest associate of the shrine at Walsingham. In other words, to encourage pilgrimage and devotion to Mary as part of the Lord's call to unity and mission. My experience has been the single most fruitful means of growth in faith amongst young people and in many adults. It's been a constant means of grace and blessing to see the shrine grow into a pilgrimage site focused on the re-evangelization of the nation in the same faith which saw its creation. Speaking personally, it's been the cause of my continued faith in the reality of the Incarnation. and it's repeatedly brought me back to a greater awareness of my vocation and ministry as a priest. It's also been the clearest way I've come to understand and love the relationships I have with those around me, in particular my marriage and my family life. The facilities and the accommodation, on practical terms, are excellent and wisely designed around the purposes of pilgrimage, close to the shrine church and of course close to the refectory. And this year, 2022, marks the centenary of the shrine's restoration. Those of us with a special love for Walsingham are committed to its deserved and much needed high profile. As the current priest administrator of the shrine says, during the past 100 years, it has borne witness to the truths of the gospel in times of war and peace, of need and prosperity. In our present day, when there is so much uncertainty and so much anxiety, the shrine continues to stand as a beacon of faith, hope, and love. The source of this is God Himself, who came to dwell among us in His Son, the Word made flesh, born of Mary. God, who chose Mary as a mother of His divine Son, has also made her mother of the Church, mother of all who seek to follow her Son. Mary, whom we hail as full of grace, the words of the angel, helps us with maternal care to glimpse and seek from her Son the gifts of grace, which transform us all more closely into the image of the God who has given Himself to us. From a human point of view, there is much that may give us cause to lose hope and give way to discouragement. How much more then do we need holy places such as Walsingham and the assurance of help of Mary's prayers? This year has a number of events to introduce people to pilgrimage at Walsingham. Please look out for details on our parish website, our Facebook page, and other familiar means of communication. Pilgrimage entails a whole new way and a whole new mindset to travelling. The journey is a major feature to understanding the reason for arriving at the shrine. The whole experience is one of growth in personal awareness and understanding of the place God has for us in His plans for the place we live in, the people amongst whom we work, and those to whom we are closest. It sets our whole life into the perspective of a pilgrimage where we can trace the changes we experience along the way. Give time in the space of holy surroundings given to us by God Himself to amend our lives where we need to, aware that at all times, when we get it right, as well as when we miss the mark, God is ever present, shaping and reshaping us into the people He calls us to be. Because God became man and dwelt among us, He shares His life in and amongst the people we spend our time with, especially when we gather as His body, the Church. Faith is shared by the words, actions, and overall example of each and every one of us. Therefore, it's of fundamental importance that we draw as near as possible to the heart, the essence, the purpose of God's saving grace, which came to us through Mary.